What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 44 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome. Alongside me is my co host, who is in the future, apparently.
Yeah, right now I'm on a spaceship. Give me a second. I'm busy. Trying to save the world, or that's all.
As Dev with his new Meta Quest 3, so I just tried the Meta Quest 3 and, wasn't planning on talking about it at all. But, it's been a few years since I, legitimately tried VR. I've tried a few little things here and there, little experiences, but that blew me away. I was in shock with how just crazy. So that's really awesome. But I'm sure we're going to be talking more about that in the future as the weeks, months, and years go on. But tonight we are here to talk about. It's finally over, Doug. It's finally over.
God.
You can take the headset off.
Yeah.
It's finally over. Xbox has closed the deal. It is safe to come out. Xbox has closed the deal, and they have acquired Activision Blizzard. We're going to talk about that, but first, let's get through some headlines. Let's run through some, a few. There was a lot that happened this week, so here we got a condensed version.
Okay.
Number one on the headline. PlayStation has officially announced what we've been reporting on here on the podcast. The new PS5 Slim. It is a smaller design. The following comes from the PlayStation blog. As the holiday season approaches, we are excited to share that we have a new PS5 model launching. To address the evolving needs of players, our engineering and design team collaborated on a new form factor that provides greater choice and flexibility. The same technology features that make the PS5 the best place to play are packed into a smaller form factor, along with an attachable Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive and a 1TB SSD for more internal storage. The new PS5 has been reduced in volume by more than 30% and weight by 18% and 24% compared to previous. There are 4 separate cover panels, with the top portion in a glossy look, while the bottom remains matte. If you purchase the PS5 Digital Edition, you can add the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive to your PS5 later. It's going to be sold separately for $80 US. The new model will be available starting this November in the US, select local retailers, and direct PlayStation.com when available. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think this thing. My first thought was, wow, they really doubled down on the modem. It looks more like a modem than the original. In my opinion, it's not a knock. It's just
I actually like the design of this more than the original. I like that middle black part. It's more curved at the top, and I don't know. It looks cool. I think the digital version of this looks better.
My only knock against it is I would feel bad for the people that bought the plates for the original PS5 because you can't. It's not going to fit on there. I would imagine, right?
It looks like it's a whole different design.
Yeah, so I would feel bad for those people that dropped $80.
I think I agree with that
on those plates.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't have a PS5 yet, it looks like they're.
But also, if you bought those plates, you don't need a Slim. You know what I mean? Stick with what you got.
True.
You're fine.
That's fair. But so yeah, that's coming out. Look forward to that. If you don't have a PS5 yet, definitely will be a viable option. Number 2 on the headlines: Devroro, Rocket League players. They're mad.
I didn't even know about this.
Oh yes. So, an announcement made by developer Psyonix revealed that on December 5th, the player-to-player trading functionality in the game will be removed. In Rocket League, will be removed. According to Psyonix, the change is being made to bring Rocket League in line with other games published by Epic Games, which also don't allow trading of in-game items. We're making this change to align with Epic's overall approach to game cosmetics item shop policies, where items aren't tradable, transferable, or sellable, the studio explained. It also notes that once the feature is removed, this opens up future plans for some Rocket League vehicles to come to other Epic games over time, which Psyonix calls cross-game ownership. The news has been met with widespread disapproval from the Rocket League community, with the game's Reddit page full of new posts, each with many upvotes criticizing the decision. You know, an idea is terrible when a lot of people's first reaction is, "Ha, that's a wild joke," Reddit user AllStreetEnd wrote. He's not wrong. All streets do in fact end. It's really depressing because while I don't personally trade, I know it's some people's passion. Another quote: "This is literally shitting on a big portion of the community. Style has always been more a core component for this game. But hey, at least you can still buy Style from Epic for $19.99. Am I right?" Deborah, what's your take on this? Because I have a take on this as well.
So the cool thing about it beforehand is like you get to trade it. It was like a collector's thing. It was like
we've argued this on the like whether you should be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool to be able to collect and trade and like, if you want something that you have something that's rare that you don't want and somebody else has like, I think it's cool. It's like a collector's like Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that part, and it's part of the community. It was a big part of the game, and to take that out is like, it's rough.
I agree. I mean, obviously, we've talked about how I don't think you should be able to like sell digital goods, and I do think that there is still like when I say I have issues, like hold on. So like when I say I have issues with that being a like this is the type of thing that I would point to and be like exactly like without it being a physical thing that you can own and like do whatever you want with it. Like I've argued this, and this is always a big arguing point for me when it comes to things like this type of stuff, where it's like, do you really trust these publishers to not get greedy? And then here we are, we see Psyonix and their parent company, Epic Games, like this one comment said, it's like, oh, but you can still buy it for $20. They don't want people to trade. And again, like that's where a lot of my thought process comes from. Like in a perfect world, a lot of these things that like we argue about things, and it's like in a perfect world, yeah, you're probably right, but it's not a perfect. Epic Games wants to make that money, and they're not going to just let people continue to trade these digital goods. Which is why I feel the way I do about digital goods. I mean, they're not really transferable. They are, but like I don't know. I just have issues.
But it sounds like
story that comes out that it's like, well,
it almost sounds like you agree with me and Jeff more though with your argument, because it's like, being able to trade is a cool feature. They should keep that in the game. Like that should be in more games. I think honestly, you trade cosmetics. If you're gonna make it limited, allow people to trade it. Those people who have those certain cosmetics, they are also selling it, like on a black market behind scenes. But like, majority of people are just trading cards, trading designs.
So like again, we've talked about it, and for me, it comes down to limited like scarcity.
Okay, yeah.
So like, here's my thing, right? Like here's a thing where I think everybody wins. Like let's say these things are always available, right? And let's say you have a Fortnite skin, right? And then one day you wake up and you're like, I'm not a child. I shouldn't be playing Fortnite. Right? You want to play real video games.
Sure.
It's a joke. I don't know. Screwing around. But anyways, like one day you wake up and you're like, I don't want to play Fortnite anymore. I want to sell my skins, right?
Yeah.
My thing is like I think that still have the skins available from Epic, but if you can find someone and like you could sell it yourself, maybe at less of a profit, like I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But like again, like I don't like it being locked behind scarcity, and I don't like the thought like.
Well, I think the scarcity part might be like hey, you sign in on Christmas Day, because a lot of people will be getting consoles or whatever for Christmas Day. They'll get V-Bucks or whatever. You sign in on Christmas Day for the next 24 hours. This skin will be available as long as you download it. I think that's where the scarcity part comes. Then afterwards, when that sale's gone, you have this limited Christmas skin that you can trade or whatever if you want to keep it. There's a value to it now because there's a certain amount, a limited amount. So I think time limited is fine over like 500. Get first 500.
I mean, again, I think we still just agree on that, which is fine. It is what it is. But
well, real quick, I'm glad you guys disagree on this, because what's actually going to happen, and I'm almost positive on this one, is the people who think like I guess more like Rome, who don't want to have the trading, they actually might buy some of these rarer skins from some of the people who are upset about this. And those people that are upset are going to sell their collection and leave the game. And those people who want to continue playing and have those are going to buy them and be like, yep, I got it forever now. Awesome.
And another thing they're going to start doing is they're just going to start selling accounts now. Like, you just made it so that...
I mean, that's nothing new. People have been doing that for decades.
I know, but
I remember people trying to sell me Call of Duty accounts. Like Xbox gamer tags, like, yo, 10th Prestige Call of Duty World at War account, $5.
But like, you taking it out of the game, it's just going to open up a black market behind the scenes. That's what's going to... And like you said, now you'd rather everything be available. Everything now will be available. You just got to pay Epic for it instead of trading it with some guy. So
it's gonna cut their fan base in half almost.
I also do think that like if you have this feature available, I think taking it away real bad.
Yeah, having it in there, I get what they're saying. Like, oh, like whatever, we're trying to make more money off of it. It was already there, and it's a key part of the game that you're taking away. That's
I agree. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
What does sound cool is though the other part that they should have just added, having the cars involved in other games. Like, I think that's cool. Why can't
you do both?
Yeah,
they're like, guys, we're taking this away, but we're adding.
Yeah, I don't.
These are two things that are not the same at all. All right, well, we'll see if there an update shows up for this, but where we have to leave it, unfortunately, sucks for the Rocket League. Next up in the headlines, we have the first before this year's Call of Duty is out, we already have a leak for next year's Call of Duty.
Of course.
The first Call of Duty 2024 leak has started to surface online, with one revealing that at least some maps will be making a return from the Black Ops series. The leak reveals that WMD from Black Ops 1, great map by the way, and the DLC map Grind from Black Ops 2, another great map by the way, will be making a return. Insider Gaming understands that a large majority of classic maps from the Black Ops series are currently in development for Treyarch's next title, but couldn't pinpoint accurately which ones will return to the core game on launch as DLC, integrated into the next Warzone map. So this is a really cool thing. And like, I feel like I'm in a minority here. I really just want them to just make these games with the old maps. I think that Call of Duty map design has become very stale. I don't think I've played a Call of Duty where I like love a map in like 5 or 6.
The only reason I agree that the old maps should be available, but I do think you should make new maps too. I think you can make new good maps because like I know Halo Infinite, and we'll talk about that more later on. It came out, it was great at launch and like it died down, but those new maps were actually good. People liked those maps. It was just
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, again, I think that it just comes down to you have so many.
I agree. You
have such a backlog of Call of Duty maps. Like, I think every Call of Duty game should be like, let's look back at these 20 years of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And like, let's put some of these old maps out. Give them a nice fresh 100%. Coat of paint and put them out. And then what I like that they're doing,
and I love that it's in black, like you can Warzone,
yeah, Black Ops.
Oh,
like some of the maps end up being in Warzone.
Yeah, I do like that too. Like,
yeah, I do too. So like I actually like this as opposed to what they did with Modern Warfare 2. So Modern Warfare 2 launched with like a bunch of new maps, and then all the post support was old maps. And I think that you should flip that. And that's what I actually like.
I agree with you.
I think
launch
with
old
maps, and then keep your players coming back with.
I agree.
Like, I remember the drop off when people were like, "We're going to support this game." You know, obviously Activision, they say that, and then everyone's really loving the game, and then they break Warzone 2, and then like people are like, "Well, the multiplayer is still good," and I think the multiplayer was good, but then you go down the line, it's like, okay, Season 1 comes out, and it's like one old map. Season 2, another old map. And like the players don't care about that stuff. They want to get that nostalgia, but they want new maps to play on too. So yeah. I think what they're going to do with Modern Warfare 3 is a really great balance or compromise. So I'm looking forward to trying that.
I think they should kind of do what Mario Kart is doing, where you get some old maps and you get some new maps into your game, like with updates.
Right. It's a balance.
Too old, too new, or something like that. I don't know.
Anyway, let's move on to number 4 in the headlines. An update on the Unity affair. Big surprise. Not really. CEO of Unity, John Riccitiello, is stepping down from his role. A new tweet from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier has claimed that Unity CEO John Riccitiello is stepping down from the company. The report comes after the company announced in September that it would be making huge changes to its monetization and royalties policy. In short, the changes meant that developers would need to pay royalties every time the game was installed by a player. Depending on the description the developer is subscribed to and the number of installs, this fee can range from 0.005 cents all the way up to 20 cents per install. The announcement was heavily criticized, as we spoke about last week. Unity announced the changes in the new press release. James M. W. Whitehurst has been appointed the interim CEO, president, and a member of the board. Roloff Botha, lead independent director of the Unity board, has been appointed chairman. Riccitiello will continue to advise Unity to ensure a smooth transition.
It's funny because I think within the past few months, we've had a lot of people step down from the CEO role to move on something else. And we're always undecided on whether or not they were pushed out or if they're actually retiring or moving on.
Yeah.
This guy was 100% pushed out.
Yeah, they were like,
they kicked.
Well, again, like, Riccitiello, like, people knew who he was and what he did, like, from his previous comments when he said, like,
he's great at making money, but
he's like, if you're not utilizing, like, milking your customers dry, you're a fucking idiot. Those are his exact words. It's just like, well, people aren't going to forget that that's the type of things that you say, and so that's what it is.
Yeah.
But, hopefully Unity can bounce back, and this is a good move for them. And I do think it's
I think Unity will be fine.
Number 5 on the headlines. This one actually kind of really made me like go, wait a second, what do you mean? So Peter Molyneux, who made the original
No
Fable
Fable,
games,
yeah.
infamous for making promises, not be like, hey, this world, the Fable, it'll be crazy. Like an acorn will fall off a tree, and that acorn will grow into a tree in your game world.
Yeah.
Footsteps in the sand
Will
would
stay
not
there.
go. Will stay there.
Yeah.
None of that happened. It was such a lie.
Yeah. Which you don't need anyway. I'm not gonna wait for a tree to grow.
I mean, if it could do it, maybe I would. Have you seen
Turn
how
to-
long I play games?
You return to a game like 10 years later. It's like
There's
the
a
water.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, some NPCs watering the tree. Anyways, Peter Molyneux has revealed that he's currently working on a game and that it will take place in the land of Albion, which is an intriguing announcement, Devroro, given the fact that Albion is the setting of Fable, which is owned by Xbox.
I was just about to ask you that. I don't know if you can do that.
I don't know if he can do it either.
You can call it. I guess you can call it Albion.
So
It's
Peter
whatever.
Molyneux's announcement was because he announces that he's going to be making. He says, "This may be a decision I live to regret, but I am starting a regular blog about the crazy way I design games, namely a new game in the land of Albion called Project Moat. Along the way, I'll be looking back at the development of Fable, Black and White, etc., etc." It would be really crazy if Microsoft is letting Peter Molyneux Fable. Like that would be insane.
He could just name the country.
No, because you have to Xbox owns the rights to Fable and the trademark to Fable. There's no way they don't own the rights.
I mean, I'm sure they do, but you could just name a country Albion. Not. I don't feel like it's.
I don't know if it's the guy that made Fable. That'd be like if the guy that made Mega Man was because he made Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
But he was just like, this is Man the Mega.
I feel like that
it would have to be in the copyright that they own all likenesses and every name that's in the game.
I would imagine that
because he could still own specific things.
Yeah, but that sounds like something Microsoft would have on lockdown. It's Microsoft, you know what I mean? I just can't imagine. I mean, they don't own the rights to the
in real life. You have multi. I think there's 2 Argentina countries in the world. You know what I mean? You can maybe they'll have
a real world.
Yeah, but that can be an argument in court.
3 different Argentinas in the real world.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. I don't know. I feel like.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, well,
who knows if he's even telling the truth and this will actually come out.
So I'm not gonna lie, a few of these news stories were just so crazy. Were they the biggest news stories this week? No, but they were worth talking about because of how crazy they were. That one was crazy. But here is another crazy one for you. In the year 2023 of our Lord and Savior, a Nintendo Wii U was sold at a retailer because obviously they track these.
Yeah.
Circana analyst Matt Pistella took to Twitter on Friday to reveal that Nintendo sold a new Wii U in the United States in September. It's apparently the first Wii U to be sold since May 2022, according to Circana's data. The new unit was apparently purchased from a retailer that reports individual store-level sales data to the company, which video game industry sales data on a monthly basis. We acquire and process individual store-level sales data for every SKU across most retailers, which combined account for 97% of the hardware market, Pistella explained in a follow-up post. It does force us to use all our fingers and toes. But wait, didn't Nintendo buy back all the Wii U retailer stock when it stopped production to avoid clearance sales? Pistella jokingly said, "So you've never lost your key or misplaced a sock?" So someone out there in the world went into a store, a retailer, so that means a big retailer, so it would have to be like Target or GameStop or Walmart, saw a Wii U.
We need to interview this.
We need to find this man.
In my mind, the visual is it's an older woman who bought a gaming console for her grandson.
And here's the thing, it has to be a retail price because it was at a retailer.
It's insane.
So somebody spent $300 on a Wii U in September of 2023. Is that insane?
That is very insane.
I got a hot take here. This is a ploy to sell this thing as the last sold Wii U, so whoever has it's gonna sell this thing for $5,000.
Yeah, if they're out there and they're reading the news and they were just I just wanted to collect it. Maybe it's like a Zelda Wii U. It's probably like a Zelda Wii U. I wouldn't be surprised. Because if I walked into a GameStop and I saw a Zelda Wii, one of those limited edition Zelda Wii U's, the Wind Waker HD Wii U, sexy as hell. Just incredible content.
I think you're giving whoever bought this way too much credit.
Maybe.
I think it was probably a base Wii U.
It was a day one.
Yeah.
The white ones.
The white ones
that had 30 millibytes of data.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
Oh, no. It's my son's birthday. He really wanted a Nintendo console for his birthday.
Oh.
Grandma, no. Well, I mean, we're probably not going to get So that's just what it is. Someone bought a Wii.
I didn't know that Nintendo bought back all the Wii U's to avoid clearance sales. Why not just sell and get? You know what I mean? Why do you?
Well, I think because Nintendo
You're gonna
wants to
reuse the
sell
software?
Switches. Well, if you're like, again, we're
It's a
joking
bad
about
look.
uneducated consumers. Someone goes into a store and they want to they ask
Yeah.
for the newest Nintendo console,
You're
and they're
right.
like, "Well, we have this Nintendo console, but also the retailer, they're trying to get
That looks
they're
like one of
trying
those
to move
handheld
this."
Switch thingies.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
I totally understand Nintendo wanting to get this. Well, because also they couldn't move Wii U units. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It's not like other consoles where like eventually you sell out of your stock. You know what I mean? They couldn't move these units.
They're just sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, they'll bury them next to the ET cartridges in the desert, in Arizona.
In the museum.
Or,
In
I'm
the
sorry,
Nintendo
New
Museum.
Mexico.
They're just like 10,000.
It's a statue made out of the Wii U's.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But let's move on. Speaking of sales, here's something that sold way more than one unit. Assassin's Creed Mirage is the franchise's biggest new gen launch to date. The game was released on October 5th for PS4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC, and an iPhone 15 Pro version is coming early 2024. With the number of players being in line with past successful launches such as Origins and Odyssey, we are humbled by the positive reception Ubisoft set on. We are proud to also share that Mirage is the biggest new gen launch in terms of unit sales to date for the PS5 and Xbox Series console. Mirage's development was led by Ubisoft Bordeaux, the studio behind Assassin's Creed Valhalla's Wrath of the Druids expansion. Billed as a love letter to Assassin's Creed gameplay of the past, it returns to the franchise's roots. I didn't have this in the notes, but it's speculated that the game has sold over 1.5 million copies
Wow.
so far. Because that was how Origins and Odyssey did about that, and they're saying that this did better. So that's kind of the ballpark people are assuming. But I love it. I love to see this. Like, it's doing very well.
I think I think rating wise it's like 7, 8, 9, like in that area. I think more 8 out of 10. But it sends a message that people want old Assassin's Creed games, and that's the part that I'm.
Yes.
That's the part that rating wise, even if it's a 7 out of 10 and it's like okay experience and it's like 30 hours and it's great. It's a smaller game and it's an older style Assassin's Creed game and people want that, and now Ubisoft can see that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's great news for them. It's great news for fans of the franchise, especially the older games. I mean, it's just like, I love to hear it, love to see it. Big win.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to hear that it's doing. Can't play, haven't played it yet. I want to play it. It's gonna happen. Still working on Starfield. Speaking of Starfield, number 8 on the headlines, Bethesda's Pete Hines is retiring from his from the games industry altogether.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Pete Hines, aka Uncle, head of publishing at Bethesda, a real focal point in the community, and a very similar to like a Major Nelson type deal. Like,
I agree.
Like, he was like a face of Ubisoft. Him and Todd Howard are like, they were the ones that, like, when you think of people at Bethesda, those are the guys. But Bethesda announced today that Pete Hines, head of publishing for Bethesda, SVP of Bethesda, has announced his decision to retire. Pete's public presence was only a small part of his role at Bethesda, although the way he represented us carried over into the values he nurtured here: authenticity, integrity, and passion. His contributions have been integral in building Bethesda and its family of studios in the world-class organization that it is today. His vision helped push us forward, and hard work inspired us. We're thankful for his 24 years of leadership and wish him the best in this next chapter. We'll miss you, Pete. Pete Hines also commented, he said, "After 24 years, I've decided my time at Bethesda Softworks has come to an end. I am retiring and will begin an exciting new chapter of my life, exploring interests and passions, donating my time where I can, and taking more time to enjoy life. This is not a decision I came to easily or quickly, but after an amazing career, culminating in the incredible launch of Starfield, feels like the time is right. This is certainly not goodbye by any means. My love of Bethesda and its people has never wavered, and I will never stop being part of this incredible community we have grown. Thank you to the hundreds and thousands of fans I've gotten to meet and talk to over the last 24 years. Your energy, creativity, and support has been such a big part of my journey. I look forward to experiencing the next part of the adventure alongside you. Working with the amazing people, teams, and studios at Bethesda has been the greatest experience of my life. Incredibly proud of everything we have done together. I'm genuinely excited to see the amazing things they will create next. Love you guys." Yeah, it's a big loss for them. I mean, Pete Hines he's done an excellent job.
Mhm.
Something I always remember about Pete was it was E3. It was like the first or second year Bethesda had a press conference at E3,
Mhm.
and the Kind of Funny guys, they were doing a pre-show for all the E3 conferences. I was watching it live, and Greg Miller was like, "I'm going to call Pete Hines. He's about to go on stage in like 5 minutes, but I'm going to call him." So he on air calls Pete Hines. Pete answers, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm really excited." Like he does an interview on the spot 5 minutes before he goes on stage, and they're like, "All right, Pete. So when you go out there, you need to like acknowledge us, like give us a sign, do something when you're on stage." And then he's like, "What do you want me to do?" He's like, "I don't know, pat your leg." And so he goes out there, and like 30 seconds in, he's like, and he does it,
That's cool.
and it's just like that was a cool moment. It's like
Yeah.
Pete was a cool dude. So happy to see that he's moving on to enjoying life and retiring and stuff. But
Yeah.
sad to see. Speaking of seeing things go, here the next Halo game is in development.
Yeah.
It has been claimed. Keep in mind, this is a rumor,
Yeah.
but it's been claimed that 343 is actively working on the next Halo campaign, and that a pivot away from Halo Infinite is taking place as we. For months, those clinging tightly to 2021's Halo Infinite have been holding out hope that some kind of expansion will be offered up for them. But as time goes on, that's seemingly less and less likely. These reports come from SG Bitcast, a gaming podcast hosted by Seasoned Gaming, and this specific tidbit of information was handed down by the site's editor-in-chief, Ames. When asked about the series, Ames stated that there is a team actively working on the restructure that is building the next generation of Halo on Unreal. At the start of 2023, there were concerns about the future of Halo, especially amidst layoffs at Microsoft that impacted 343. Fans were reassured that Halo isn't going. Um, I think it's a good call for them. I wonder
Absolutely.
how much of a reset this is going
I think it's going to be kind of what it's going to be Halo Infinite 2. It's not going to be called that, but it's going to be that big of a reset.
Yeah.
The biggest issue with Halo Infinite, it wasn't a bad game. It just was on their own engine. What was it, Slipspace or something like that? And
think so, yeah.
nobody knew how to use that engine. You had to train people to use it before they can even work on the game, and that's too many steps. So for them to move to Unreal Engine and start over, I think it's a good thing for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think recently they just had a new season for Halo Infinite, and everyone's talking about it. It was great. Like people were like,
Firefights back,
Yeah.
and just a bunch of great stuff's
a
coming.
lot of cool
Halo
skins that
Infinite.
people like, new maps. So
Yep.
people loved all the new stuff that's happening. People love Halo. It's just can't get people to develop on it, so you can't have updates as fast. But it's just troublesome.
Well, they're building on Unreal now,
Yeah.
so, which is great. I think they should do that.
Yeah, they should have been doing. I mean, you should look at the developers of Gears of War.
Yeah.
They've been using Unreal, and they've just made beautiful games
Forever.
Yeah,
they've been
so
Mhm.
it's about time.
But, exciting to see that Halo's just, like, some people were like, Halo needs to go into a hole. Like, no, I don't want Halo to go into a hole for, like, 15 years. Like, I
Yeah.
want there to be Halo games.
I agree.
So,
And I think they should let this cook. Leave it in the oven.
I think
guess
you have Bethesda now. You also have something else.
don't rush it.
now.
Let it be a console
Yeah.
for the next gen. Like
Maybe.
2028.
See? Man,
5
could you
years.
imagine?
Launching with Halo?
But my thought process that you just said that was like, could you imagine an exclusive lineup of Xbox that's like Halo, Elder Scrolls, like whatever else? Like,
yeah, that's insane.
those two games, like
Those two games alone
on 2028
for launching.
insane.
That's insanity. A multiplayer game and a single player game, just like from those two.
Of the highest quality.
Yeah,
I don't even know. My brain can't even fathom that.
don't rush it. Put it in the oven. You got time.
Yep. All right, let's move on to kind of a 1-2 punch on the headlines, number 10 and number 11. And number 12 is kind of related, but we're going to do 10 and 11. So Walmart, this is a rumor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Walmart's going to stop selling physical Xbox.
Number 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you sent me one earlier about Best Buy. I don't know. You don't have that in here, but like.
Oh, so I didn't include that because Best Buy is still going to be selling video games.
Okay.
I sent you that on the side.
Okay.
So Best Buy is going to stop selling Blu-rays and
and
DVDs.
Yeah. I'll mix up.
Which a lot of people are upset about because Best Buy is known for these really gorgeous 4K Blu-ray steelbooks,
Mm-hmm.
which I have some of them as well.
Yeah.
I'm not shopping at Best Buy anymore. They've lost a customer because that was the one reason I went there. That and Amiibo. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, I guess I just won't be buying at Best Buy anymore. But this one's more gaming related, why it's a podcast. So Walmart's going to stop selling physical Xbox. In the wake of the news that Best Buy is phasing out its physical media sales of Blu-rays, It's been claimed that Walmart is planning to follow suit by discontinuing the sale of physical Xbox games in 2024. The claim comes from Josh Fairhurst, the CEO of Limited Run Games, on Twitter. He explained how he has heard rumors that Walmart is dropping physical Xbox soon, but further cuts will be made in the future that could impact other platforms.
Absolutely. We're gonna. You have more to read?
No, that was
We're
pretty
gonna
much it.
disagree on this, but I think it's one of those things where they're doing it. They don't care about us. They don't care about
No,
consumers.
yeah, not at all.
It's all money. It's all a
Oh,
money
for sure.
thing. They're not. It's not making money for them. It's not selling. So like, people are obviously not buying physical as much, and it's not going to go away. I think on the online stuff will just still be there. You'll still be able to get your stuff online, and you're going to stop going to the stores. But like, it's definitely moving to that. Entertainment is moving towards online stuff, and it does suck. It's kind of like, I actually didn't know about the game stuff from Walmart.
Mhm.
I thought games would stay longer. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Well, I think it's specifically Xbox, and I think
That's another weird thing too.
Well, I don't think that's weird.
The only reason I don't think it's weird is because obviously Nintendo and PlayStation are selling way more copies of physical
Mhm.
in general. Like,
Yeah.
Xbox is definitely moving towards, with Game Pass being as big as it is, on games on day one, you can buy it on Game Pass. Like, first party, I think it makes more sense for Xbox to be the first, but it's just a domino effect. And
Well, another thing is, I also don't. Maybe I'm making a big assumption.
What is it?
I don't think that the average Xbox customer that buys physical games is going to Walmart for their video.
That's another.
I think that's a big thing for me, because it's like here's the thing, and again, just being realistic. Obviously, PlayStation, Nintendo are much more on the forefront of the conscious pop culture, like you know what I mean?
So?
Like, I do. Like, I mean, obviously, PlayStation has a lot more sales. I think PlayStation is the much more, well, like, we know it. Like, PlayStation is the much more distributed console. Like, again, perception's everything. And the way that the 360 was like the must-have box, PlayStation has cemented itself to the casual audience as a must-have box if you're playing things like, I don't know, like your multiplayer games or your Maddens or your FIFAs. So it's not surprising to me for them to look at like the casual audience going to a Walmart to buy a video game, and not only that, but they most likely have. Again, I'm making some big assumptions here.
I mean,
but I think they all. I have reasoning behind my assumptions.
Okay.
Like, you don't see like GameStop being like, yeah, we're not gonna. I think the people that are buying Xbox games physically are going to places like GameStop or Amazon or etc. etc.
This is
funny you should say that. Look at chat.
Exactly. The day trading Doge says that he goes to GameStop. Avoid Walmart at all costs, not even for kibble and bits. You know what? I actually agree with you, Doge. I hate Walmart. Wife and I, we argue like from time to time. She's like, "Oh, let's run to Walmart real quick," and I'm like, "We're going to Target. If we're going somewhere, Walmart's trash."
But I do think it's not going to take very long for other big companies, other like Target and other stores or whatever, to follow suit. And I do think it's not going to take long for other consoles to be involved, where, you know, we're going to stop selling PlayStation and Nintendo. And I don't know, it does suck. It is scary that it's happening so fast, because I did think this was going to happen. It just feels like it's happening a lot sooner than I thought it would.
Well, Devroro, someone at Ubisoft disagrees with you.
Okay.
Number 11 on the headlines. Ubisoft thinks physical games won't ever go away. There's a digital revolution taking place at the moment, and Ubisoft is well placed at the center of that progressive push into cloud-hosted and digital gaming services. After all, they currently have the streaming rights to Call of Duty and all of Activision Blizzard's stuff.
Yeah.
They own, like, so here's the thing, Ubisoft, they're in the thick of it with the digital gaming front.
Yeah.
But in an interview, Ubisoft's SVP of Business Development, Chris Early, spoke about the future of digital and physical media. He was insistent that while the sale of physical games may decline over time, they won't ever completely go away, no matter how popular digital downloads and cloud-based games. Let's see. There's a digital-only version of the current Xbox and PlayStation consoles, and rumors have been circulating that the next Nintendo Switch console may have a cloud-based version too. However, there are still plenty of players who pick a physical game over a digital one, and even Sony's latest update on the PS5 console includes the introduction of an attachable disc drive.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking at part of the interview, Chris Early explained, there's a collector's edition market. There's the aspect of gifting physical items and allowing access for people to be able to easily purchase a game in a store and gift them to their friends or family. Some people will always want to own a physical disc. I just don't think it's going away. Do I think physical sales might get lower over time? Sure. But will it ever completely go away? I don't think. Early did take the opportunity to talk about the advantages of streaming games, though. He stressed how users can try out a game without waiting for a download, for example. And as technology gets better, so too does the service itself.
Well, that last part is you still buy physical. You still have to wait till a download. In fact, if you buy digital, you can pre-download before the game comes out. So I think that part is a little.
So here's the thing, right?
I don't agree with him. Okay, I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
This is the most rational, and like I've never agreed with a statement in terms of the argument between physical versus digital. I've never agreed with a statement more, at least in terms of what I think, the way I think it should be. Like, here's the thing: I'm a physical guy, media guy.
Mhm.
I love having the older episodes of the podcast were in the game room. People have seen the game room. You can go back and look at past videos. I have a large collection of games and movies, etc., etc.
Mhm.
I love collecting things. I have a collector's mentality. Can't help it. That's just what I enjoy doing. For me, adding a game or adding a movie or adding an amiibo to the collection, in and of itself, is its own level of enjoyment and satisfaction. And then I get to enjoy it further. I'm not like one of these weirdos who like doesn't open things. You know what I mean? Like,
which I'm so glad.
No, yeah, like I think that's weird. I buy it so I can open it. Like unless like the only way I wouldn't is like if I happen to get 2 copies of something or 2 something. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna hold on to this for 20 years. In 20 years I'll just sell. Like I have a Piranha Plant that's open, but I also have an unopened one.
No, that's different.
Because Amazon sent me 2 by accident. I was like, you know what? Maybe in 20 years this will be worth something. So it's tucked away. I don't think about it ever. This is the first time in 4 years I've thought about it.
Mhm.
And in like 15 years, I'll be going through a closet and I'll see it. I'm like, well, let's see if this is worth something. But like, I'm not buying things to not utilize. And I just think that like, yes, like the digital future is here and like people are going to buy games digitally and people are going to stream games. Absolutely. But I think that there is a market of people like me. I don't think I'm the only person in the world like this.
No.
And I think that at the end of the day, like, this is why I have such an issue with Alan Wake 2. Why don't you, okay, so you don't want to print a bunch of discs. Why not have a limited run of discs? Like, there are ways around this. There are compromises. Why don't you take orders for discs and then print the amount of discs you need and then ship them after the game's launched? Like, there are so many things you could be doing to appease all of your customers. Like, we talk about Nintendo and how Nintendo doesn't like money. But it's just like, I think to straight up just be like, wipe your hands of physical media is to just say you don't like money. Because there are people out there, like me, that will pay money for a physical copy of a game.
The problem is though, there's a scale of how much money it costs to make these things and put it out and like selling it to like retailers and trucks and like all that stuff, and who's buying it. And once that scale tips a certain way too much, we see it happening. They're stopping Blu-rays, they're stopping DVDs, they're stopping games at Walmart, and every year they're always stopping something else new.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just do smaller runs.
But even then, they'll do smaller runs until people stop buying that. I think collecting will move away from disc, and they'll have to start collecting other things. There'll be figures or something. There'll be poster. I mean, maybe hopefully not posters. That sucks. But like collecting for a game it's definitely gonna shift into something else. I think empty game cases.
What I love that and we talked about this with Starfield. I think Xbox is really onto something here with their Game Pass strategy. So again, Starfield. My experience with Starfield is I spent $35 on a steelbook, which had like a patch and it had like the first expansion when it comes out, and 5 days early access. Right?
Yeah.
So like I spent $35 and I got my physical thing to put in the room. I got what I wanted, and they get what they wanted. They didn't have to print a disc. Like, there are compromises there, and that's my point. That's what I'm saying.
But that
I'm okay with a steelbook with a code inside.
Okay, I think
I'm okay with that.
I think that's gonna happen first. It'll be like steelbooks and everything, and then eventually it'll be those patches. Those maybe you get a helmet or something. I don't think physical games are gonna last. You know, in 20 years, I don't like. We see it every year. They're stopping something new because people aren't going out to buy it. There's a very, very, very small market. And I agree with the guy that it's not gonna. It'll never be zero, or at least not for the next 20 years. It won't be zero. Right. But you know, who knows? Next year we're going to be talking about the next thing.
I'm going to be here fighting the good fight as long as I can.
Yeah, as long as you can. You know,
as long as I can. Fight the man. Fight the revolution. All right, let's move on. Number 12 in the headlines, our last headline for the day. Devroro, this is such a cool announcement. And like, you're a tech guy, so I think you'll be able to appreciate this. So, Analog, the company that has made a lot of cool hardware, most recently the Analog Pocket, which is basically a Game Boy that it plays Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, yeah, the Pocket, yeah.
It's really awesome.
Yeah.
They have announced today the Analog 3D.
I hear about this.
Well, it came out today. It got announced today. A 4K Nintendo 60. Analog, the company best known for modern takes on retro hardware, is turning its attention to the 64-bit era with the Analog 3D, a reimagining of the Nintendo 64. The company says the new console will have 100% compatibility with N64 cartridges in every region and will even support 4K output. It will also include original display modes featuring reference quality recreations of specific models, CRTs, and PVMs for the purists out there, along with Bluetooth support and 4 controller ports. Today's announcement is mostly a tease. While we have some details, there's no word or on price or a specific release date beyond 2024. Analog didn't even show the hardware yet. If you go on their website, which is the first thing in the script, you kind of see a little bit of the controller and an image that's right here, Dev, that's assumed to be the console.
Okay.
Even without a lot of details, very exciting announcement.
I like this one line. Nintendo's console is infamous for being difficult to emulate. Even Nintendo has a hard time getting it right.
Oh yeah, like some of the games on the Switch, like they don't run perfectly.
Yeah.
Nintendo's had a lot of problems with the Switch Virtual Console, or no, I'm sorry, the NSO Switch, or NSO on N64 launch. This is such a cool announcement for me. I instantly signed up to get notified. I'm going to be buying it.
Okay.
Like I'm very excited for this. No emulation. It just runs strictly off the cartridge.
That part was insane to me. That's
4K output. Like I wanted an analog pocket, but at the time I felt like I couldn't justify it because it was like $250, and I was like, money's a little tight right now. I want to get one, but maybe not. I'll hold off.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I want.
Yeah.
Like again, like it's 4K, original display modes, any region. So like you could play Japanese N64 games on it, and like I'm in love with this thing. I want it. I really want it.
It's crazy how much the fans of Nintendo carry Nintendo. Like,
isn't it?
Nintendo could be doing this.
Yeah,
they could be doing this.
Put out a 4K N64.
Yeah, like
you won't. And they're like, you're right, we won't.
And I get it. They're trying to innovate. They're trying to move forward, but it's like, man, there's so much. Have a team.
And so here's the thing, right? And so this was a big reason why I also said that this kind of tied in with the physical game stuff. Is that like I think that if games are going to go to an all digital, no physical, I think the games industry in general needs to get its head out of its ass when it comes to games preservation. I think they do an awful. I'm saying the industry as a whole. Like I think Xbox is doing a really good job.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Xbox is ironically enough the leaders in this field. But like the games industry, and especially Nintendo and PlayStation, they need to get their head out of their ass with. This is not acceptable.
I absolutely agree, and I think they should. I think the easiest way to do it is put everything on PC. Having something exist on a computer and on the internet was the easiest way to get something to last forever. But there needs to be a way. I don't know. There has to be a way to do that.
Right.
I think the future of gaming will be a diskless console where you can buy a disk drive separately, and that disk drive will be capital. Yeah, but I think that's going to be something that hopefully we stick with moving forward. I hope Xbox does that.
All right, well, that's it for the headlines this week. Other little stories kind of came up, like we found out who the voice actor for Mario and Luigi is. Other little things like that. But we're on a little bit of a condensed because we're on a bit of a time schedule right now. We're going to move on. Game releases for the week of October 16th. I say that, and it's the biggest week in terms of releases, I think, this year. So we're going to run through it. I did not get prices. Go to GameStop or Amazon, whatever.
Yeah.
Coming out for the week of the 16th today, SpongeBob SquarePants, Cosmic Shake, PS5 and Xbox Series. Tomorrow on the 17th, Mortal Kombat Onslaught for the iOS and Android, Skull Island Rise of Kong for PS5, Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Sonic Superstars for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Wizard with a Gun, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on the 16th. Mike Mignola's Hellboy Web of Wired, something. PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on the 18th. Slender, The Arrival on PS5 and Xbox Series on the 18th. Endless Dungeon, PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Switch, and PC on the 19th. Galactic Civilization 6 Supernova for the PC on the 19th. Gangs of Sherwood, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on the 19th. Gargoyles Remastered on the 19th for Xbox Series, PS4, Switch, and PC. Interesting that there's no PS5 version. Oh, I guess it's remastered. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 turbocharged PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC on the 19th. Overpass 2, PS5, Xbox Series, PC on the 19th. The Seventh Guest VR for PSVR 2, Quest, and PC on the 19th. The Gap, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on the 19th as well. Jackbox Party Pack 10, really awesome. I love those packs.
Yeah.
PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on the 19th. World of Horror, PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC on the 19th. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 comes out on PS5 on October 20th. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out on the Nintendo Switch on October 20th. Deborah, what is your pick for the week? Lots to pick here.
I know. There's like 4 of them that stood out to me.
Yeah. Well, it's October. It is what it is.
Yeah, we knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The Jackbox Party Pack seems awesome. Again, like I love those games.
Yeah, me too.
Was it the Seventh Guest VR? I heard it was an old point and click computer game that it's switched over to VR, and it's a mystery. Cool. You're solving a murder with ghosts.
Well, as we know, I'm a VR guy now.
Yeah,
I'm so in on
we got you in.
On it. I'm so in.
And my third one, I guess my game is the Spider-Man 2. I think that's the one that's good.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if I had to pick one, it is gonna be Spider-Man 2.
I forgot about
reviews came out today.
Super Mario Wonder. I forgot about that one too. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm only buying 2 games a month during these months, so I'm not getting Mario. I'm getting Spider-Man
and
Assassin's Creed were my 2 games.
Obviously.
Listen, that Mario world that they just had where the stars are raining from the sky and the enemies are running away from you scared, that looks amazing.
It looks great.
Oh,
right?
It does. It absolutely does. And like, again, if I was getting one more game this month, it would be Mario.
I think you'll get it eventually.
Oh yeah, it's gonna go on the Amazon wish list, and I'll backlog it, and I'll buy it eventually. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 is my pick for this week. Looks like an excellent game. I really want to play it. The reviews are really good, except for IGN's, which was an 8, which not a bad review. Although I'm starting to make the assumption, and we can talk about this next week.
Okay.
I feel like IGN is officially just scoring games for clicks.
Okay.
Because it's like they came out and gave Starfield a 7. I don't agree with that.
And it was only the US IGN, right? North America.
Yeah, all 4 other IGN branches gave it a 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then like this game, Spider-Man, like there's no console wars at this point. Like I'm looking at the Starfield review, and I think that's 7's too low. And then when I read these other Starfield or Spider-Man reviews, like people are like, "This is my favorite PS5 game. This is my favorite game of the year. This is my game of the generation."
And they gave it an 8.
And IGN gave it an 8. Everyone else gave like 10s and 9s, and like IGN's like, that's it.
Just from what we've seen from trailers, just like you look at it and you're like, "Oh, that's a 10 out of 10 game." Like, the stuff we've seen is like, "Oh, this looks really cool."
Kind of Funny did their review today, and I listened to like a quick little snippet of it, and they were like, there's like the way they review their games is like they do it in their podcast form where they have like 4 people there, and they were like all 4 of them platinumed and 100%. And Greg Miller was like, "That's the first time this has ever happened for a review where everyone here that reviewed it, all 4 of us who played it, 100% and got all the trophy."
Will you play that first after Starfield? I think you should.
Oh yeah,
over Assassin's Creed, only because Assassin's Creed is shorter, and I think you could knock that out.
I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for you right now. But I really want to play both of them. But yeah, I'm starting to get the impression that IGN is just scoring for clicks. Like I'm serious. It's just like because everybody's talking about the IGN review every time. It's like, oh, a big Xbox game came out. Everyone's talking about the IGN review. Big PlayStation. Everyone's talking about the. Okay, I see what you're. I'm figuring it. I'm figuring you. Which I don't like. I hate.
No, I don't like it either.
That's really dishonest. Like, like the fact that you are doing a review is the clip. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like that's just disingenuous.
Outside of technical things, I don't really like reviews. Like
but then like IGN, but then they'll score games that are unanimous. Like I don't know. Like I think like Baldur's Gate 3 came out and they were like, oh, everyone's talking about this. You gotta get.
I guess.
I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like specifically console exclusive games between Xbox and PlayStation.
So and it's just the North American one. Like there's so many other reviews you can go out there and
Japan's like Starfield's a 10 out of 10. We loved it over here in Japan. Apparently, despite what your Twitter burner.
That's not mine, but okay.
Let's get into the topic of the show. The deal is done. It's finally over.
It's done. All right, let's move on.
22 months. Well, I mean, there's some stuff to talk about. But Microsoft has completed its Activision Blizzard acquisition. Call of Duty is now part of Xbox, along with all of Activision and Blizzard. Microsoft finalized the $68.7 billion deal to acquire the publisher. The Verge exclusively reported last week that Microsoft was planning to close on Friday, the 13th. It did. The acquisition required 20 months of battles with regulators in the UK and the US, but Microsoft closed the deal after defeating the FTC in US federal court. Defeating. No, they did. I mean, they just absolutely wiped the floor with them. Great news for them. Phil Spencer, he put out a statement via the Xbox Wire. He says, "We love gaming, we play games, create games, and know firsthand how much of gaming means to all of us as individuals and collectively as a community. And today we officially welcome Activision Blizzard and their teams to Xbox. They are publishers of some of the most played and most beloved franchises in gaming history across console, PC, and mobile. From Pitfall to Call of Duty, World of Warcraft to Overwatch, Candy Crush Saga to Farm Hero Saga. Their studios have pushed the boundaries of gaming for players around the world." And Phil, in his statement, kind of goes on to say how much he admires Activision. I was looking forward to creating new worlds and new stories. And the millions of fans of Activision, Blizzard, and King, we want you to know that today is a good day to play. You are the heart and soul of these franchises, and we are honored to have you as part of our community. Whether you play on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, or mobile, you are welcome here, and will remain welcome, even if Xbox isn't where you play your favorite franchise. Because when everyone plays, we all win. We believe our news today will unlock a world of possibilities for more ways to play. Thank you for the ongoing support. We have so much more to come in the months ahead. I'm excited for the future and cannot wait to share it. So Phil also put out a statement to employees of Microsoft. And, today I'm thrilled and honored to welcome you all to Team Xbox. Oh, I guess, it was to Activision Blizzard employees. It's like, I'm thrilled and honored to welcome you all to Team Xbox. I've long been a fan of the incredible games and stories that your teams have created and admired the impact that you've had on gaming, entertainment, and pop culture. Whether it was late nights spent playing the Diablo 4 campaign with friends from start to finish, gathering the entire family in the rec room for a weekly Guitar Hero night, or going on the epic streak in Candy Crush, some of my most memorable gaming moments have come from experiences your studios have created. Bringing our teams together represents an incredible opportunity for us to learn from one another, unlock a world of possibilities, and continue doing what both of our companies have always done: create stories and experiences that bring players together. Thank you to everyone who contributed to making this moment possible. By combining Xbox with your team's skill and talent, energizing passion, and amazing legacy of gaming, we will bring the joy and community of gaming to even more players around the world. Our goal is to keep nurturing what makes you great, support you in doing your best work, building groundbreaking games, prioritizing our shared commitment to putting culture at the center of everything we do. We want to learn from your centers of excellence, change ideas and best practices, and empower you to bring your visions. As of today, we couldn't be more excited about Activision Blizzard employees, that they are our colleagues, co-workers, and team. As mentioned in Bobby's email earlier, he has agreed to remain in the role through the end of 2023. We'll talk about that in a second. Through this integration, we remain committed to being transparent and sharing information whenever possible. We have dedicated a team ensuring that you feel welcome, have opportunities to ask questions, and that we are creating a culture of trust, inclusion, and collaboration with you. Earlier today, I sent a note to Microsoft letting the rest of the company know that we can now officially welcome you. And there, I reiterate that we hold ourselves to a high bar in delivering the most exclusive and inclusive and welcoming experiences for players, creators, and employees. We are one team, Team Xbox. Over the coming weeks, I'll be visiting Activision, Blizzard, and King offices, along with members of the Xbox leadership team. There, we'll have the opportunity to address questions and hear from each other. We also look forward to meeting and welcoming you alongside Team Xbox at our next virtual all hands. More to come on these. Welcome to Team Xbox. Good day to play. Phil. I thought that this letter was like,
yeah, it's a great.
Like, if I'm an employee, I'd be feeling really good. Which, according to Jason Schreier, before the deal closed, Jason spoke to several Activision Blizzard employees last week who were all very excited for this deal to go through. Jason reported that it would be done next week, if not by that day, which I believe this was on Friday. Yes, Friday. So, Jason's talking to employees. They're really happy. It seems like a really good move for them. And I really just have a lot of faith in them going forward in Xbox and the integration into Activision Blizzard. And we've talked about on the podcast, Activision just, in my opinion, just not being a very well-run company. And so I'm excited. If I'm an employee of Activision, I would probably be very. Some other little things that we know about. Modern Warfare 3 is not going to be releasing on Game Pass at launch. Activision, before the deal closed, wanted to make this clear.
That makes sense too. It's way too early. The game's coming out this year. The deal closed this year. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 4 will definitely be on there. I think 3 and other Call of Duty games will show up eventually.
Activision said it's awesome to see anticipation building for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 as we continue to work toward regulatory approval of the Microsoft deal. We've been getting questions whether our upcoming and recently launched games will be coming to Game Pass. While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world, and we anticipate that we would begin adding games into Game Pass sometime in the course of the next year. Now they paint this picture that it's a ways out in terms of like, you know, within the next year. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. I kind of have it set up in a way where we're going to discuss the fun stuff to end the show. Other things. So what this acquisition means for Call of Duty. Call of Duty will release the same day on PS5, Xbox, and PC.
Of course.
Call of Duty is returning to Nintendo platforms. They're going to expand to cloud gaming services. Eventually, I would imagine maybe the next Call of Duty or the year after that will release day and date on Game Pass.
Yeah.
No more exclusive content for any platform. So that's
part of the deal
for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Something that Phil Spencer mentioned in his employee emails. Bobby Kotick put out a email to the team as well at Activision Blizzard saying, "Today marks a milestone in our company's celebrated history. Combining with Microsoft will bring new resources and new opportunities to our extraordinary team worldwide. It will also enable us to deliver more fun, more joy, and more connection to more players than ever before. This moment is possible because of your efforts over 4 decades to innovate, inspire, and he goes into this talk about how the company founded in 91, or not 91, but they intended to build a dynasty. In the 80s, they pioneered independent third-party development with Pitfall, and he kind of runs through the company's history.
Yeah.
He basically says that at the end of the email that he's going to step down at the end of 2023. So he's going to be there. He's going to be helping the transition. January 1st, 2024 rolls around. He's going to be out. Expected, right? I mean, we knew he was getting the golden parachute. We knew he was getting out of there.
And I also don't think he's just a figurehead at this point. I don't think he has any power right now.
Oh, no, not at all.
They've definitely taken away his power. He's, like you said, he has a golden parachute. He's getting paid to not work. He's going to get even more money when he leaves. And he's
effectively given like a 90-day notice. That's what he's done. It's less than 90 days, but like effectively what he's done is like, hey guys, I'm just going to hang out in my office. We do have a funny story.
Okay.
That we're going to talk about in a second.
Okay.
Well. Just to show that Bobby Kotick, it's like, whatever. He's like, I don't even care. He's got senioritis. In fact, we'll dive into that one now quick before we get to the FTC, because there's more about the FTC. So Bobby Kotick, last week, Devroro, would you believe me if I told you that Bobby Kotick hired James Corden to come and interview Bobby Kotick at an all-hands-on-deck employee meeting for Activision Blizzard?
It's insane.
He did it.
Who's letting this man do things? He has too much time on his hands.
No, he does. So, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick called an all-hands meeting with all Activision Blizzard King staff last week, hosted by none other than James Corden. Mind you, this was not to be publicly aired. Like, this was a employees-only meeting. He hired James Corden. Kotick reminisced about Activision's journey from independent to being under Vivendi and then becoming a publicly traded company. Kotick also discussed future tech, name-checked Guitar Hero, and hinted about what the future of ABK's partnership with Microsoft may look like. James Corden asked how Kotick and ABK leadership will retain its culture, with Kotick repeatedly describing as magic and special during the discussion. Kotick emphasized his belief that Microsoft wants to acquire the company for that magic, represented in the 15,000 plus staff within Activision, predicting that Microsoft will seek to maintain it moving forward.
The funny part about it is this: I doubt Bobby Kotick is in a lot of the board meetings that Xbox is having with you know what I mean? Like they give him an email of what he needs to know.
Email.
So him going on this and saying this is like Microsoft's looking at shit. We weren't going to do anything with.
We weren't going to hire James Corden.
We're going to hire James Corden. It's like, oh man, we weren't gonna do anything with Guitar Hero. We thought that the franchise did. Now we might have to do something. You know, guys going out there and making.
He legit is like, hey, maybe they're bringing Guitar Hero back.
Yeah, because I think we talked about that last week. Of maybe I don't know. I heard about the interview, but it's like he's saying these things, and
he says a big part of what I've seen in Microsoft is research, and they do development in areas that are extraordinary. He's just speaking for the company. And also, he says, and so being able to tap into their AI and machine learning capability, the data analytics, new ways of thinking about graphics, I just see unlimited potential for what we do. Kotick explained, "We're uniquely situated as a company because we have the very best franchises in all video games." Kotick looked ahead to the next 10 years of gaming, reminiscing about transformative titles from Activision's backlog like Pitfall, River Raids, and Kaboom. So, like, real quick pause. So, like, James Corden got a list of questions from Bobby Kotick to ask Bobby Kotick.
Okay.
And one thing was like, "So, Bobby, what about the next 10 years of gaming?" And his first thing was like, "You think back to the 1980s and Pitfall and River Raid." Kotick also name-checked Guitar Hero, hinting that it's currently on the path to revive. The re-emergence of Guitar Hero and other things would not be possible without different types of resources. And so, just the endless possibilities for the future that are just incredibly exciting.
As much as I want Guitar Hero to return, I don't think it will.
I wanted to, and I hope it will.
And
now they have to. They have to.
I know.
This is the headline last week. The headline was like, Guitar Hero's coming back. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Hero?
I remember seeing that and reading it. I didn't know about this part, about the whole, like...
Oh, yeah, he hired James Corden.
Yeah. Insane.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it, but it's hilarious that Bobby Kotick's like, "Yep, they're closing the deal this week." He calls James Corden's agent. He's like, "Hey, can I hire James for like 2 hours on Thursday and come in, give him a list of questions and just read them back to Bobby, and Bobby answers them."
Yeah, that's...
And mind you, like, this was not like something that they put out to the public either. It was like legitimately just like, "All right, everyone, meeting in the boardroom. Everyone get on Zoom or get on Teams."
Yeah.
We use Teams now because we're owned by Microsoft, or will be owned by Microsoft.
No.
But
insane.
Great stuff.
I probably wouldn't have shown up. I'm like, "You're not my boss anymore. I'm going to sleep in."
I don't know. If they were like, "Hey, do you want to come watch James Corden?" And I was like, "Is it free? Like, am I getting paid to watch James Corden?" All right, James Corden's a funny guy. I like James Corden. It's good.
Yeah.
Carpool karaoke's pretty good.
He's probably in the middle of something. He doesn't even know. Like, he got a check to show up somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, he is he probably plays the game. Real quick stuff before we you on. The FTC is going to continue to fight the case. They say Microsoft and Activision's new agreement with Ubisoft presents a whole new facet to the merger that will affect American consumers, which the FTC will assess as part of its ongoing administrative proceeding. Spokeswoman Victoria Graham said, "The FTC continues to believe this deal is a threat to competition. They're going to continue to fight it. They can't do anything.
No,
it's over.
Yeah,
but they're going to keep fighting it.
Let them. They got to do what they got to do.
You want them to waste taxpayer money? You're okay with that?
No, I don't want them to do it, but
well, they are.
Yeah.
So let's get into like the fun stuff, right? So we talked about how Activision said like, "Hey, Game Pass are like a little ways out. Like, let's talk about what Xbox can benefit from, what we want to see and stuff like that." So I came up with a few things. So number one, Jez Corden reported from Windows Central that the Game Pass games are going to be coming sooner than they're making it seem.
Okay.
Like, yes, Diablo and Modern Warfare 3 are not coming out this year. But the trickle of games, expect them soon.
I believe that, especially older titles. I don't see why not.
Yeah. I saw a rumor today. I couldn't track a source down, but a Twitter account who has cited sources before said that we might get some announcements and releases tomorrow.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's true or not. That's why I didn't include it, but I'm mentioning it now.
Okay.
What else do they gain? I mean, obviously a ton of IP.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're going to talk about in a second. They're going to launch that mobile storefront that they want to launch next year, and Activision Blizzard King is going to be a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to compete against Google and Apple in the mobile space. That's going to be a big thing.
Which they have enough titles at this point.
They will, yeah. Obviously, the huge expansion in Game Pass. And another thing I came up with really is utilization of branding both ways. In a sense that, like, you're going to start seeing people associate Xbox with Activision games, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, even little things like PlayStation not having the Call of Duty commercials anymore. Like, that's big for them. It's about perception. PlayStation paid to have all the Call of Duty commercials be, these games are PlayStation games. Like, well, that's a great way for Xbox to kind of help re-solidify that branding. And just other things. Like, again, it's great for that.
It sucks. I kind of hope moving forward that, like, maybe they come up with, they do the Minecraft route where Minecraft on different consoles has different exclusive items. You know, I could be Mario on Nintendo.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
I could be Master Chief on Xbox, Spider-Man on PlayStation, whatever.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
So, lastly, just kind of want to run through
some of the IP they have.
Yeah, so These are all the IPs that Xbox now owns after the acquisition, not including things they already own. This is all new stuff.
Yeah.
So they own Call of Duty, Crash
Which is the big
Bandicoot,
one.
another big one, Diablo, Gabriel Knight, Geometry Wars. You get Geometry, that would be those. Guitar Hero, which according to Bobby Kotick, totally coming back. Gun, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Heavy Gear, Heretic, Interstate 76, King's Quest, Laura Bow Mystery, Lost Vikings, Phantasmagoria, Pitfall, Police Quest, Prototype. Prototype's a 360.
Yeah, Forrest really liked that game.
Yeah. Singularity, that was also, I've never played that, but I heard good things. Quest for Glory, Ski Resort Tycoon, Skylanders come back. That sounds like soft. Soldier of Fortune, Space Quest, Spyro the Dragon, StarCraft, SWAT, Tenchi, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and the associated Tony Hawk. True Crime, Ultimate Soccer Manager, Warcraft, World of Warcraft, Zork. And then also, these are all the games that King owns, mobile games. These are all the mobile franchises.
Yeah.
Look at all these. Look how many there are.
I don't know a lot of them, but I'm sure.
I'm going to hope that producer Jeff has it on the screen because I'm not reading. But like Candy Crush is on here.
Yeah, Candy Crush is the big one.
Yeah, but like there's a like Farm Heroes
is pretty big.
Bubble Witch I've heard of. I've heard of a bunch of them. So really great for them for the mobile front. So like what are you excited about with this? Like for me, getting these games on Game Pass, like
that's a big one.
I had this light bulb moment where it was such a small thing where I was like, man, you'll be really cool if like Tony Hawk Underground and like American Wasteland came to Game Pass and like bring those old games back. I think Xbox is also going to make a big splash in the PC market, like in terms of software, like with this, like Warcraft, StarCraft, like make those games come back. PC Game Pass is going to have a bunch of crazy additions.
Yeah. One thing I really hope they do is flex you have all these companies now, you should flex that. And what I mean is Activision Blizzard is really good at like, in Diablo, you can get skins and stuff from other games. You can get, you can get the wings from, you can get Mercy's wings from over. Like I hope they do that more. I want put some Halo stuff in this game, put some Spyro stuff in this game, some Crash stuff in this game. I think you got all these IPs, utilize it.
Again, I think that the biggest
really cool.
thing, I think the biggest thing for this is the Game Pass editions, where it's just like, man, just the thought of these games coming to game, all the Call of Duty games, Spyro games, Crash Bandicoot games. It's like. I saw a really crazy tweet that like really blew my mind. It's like if someone had said to you like 10, 15 years ago, it's like, hey, so PlayStation owns Bungie, the people that made Halo, and Xbox owns Crash Bandicoot. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about.
They would think you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of my room. Who are you? But so that's really exciting stuff, and we're gonna continue to talk about the game future coming to Game Pass and all the stuff we're gonna be playing. Because now the dumb stuff is over. The odyssey of this podcast, like again, like it's the end of an era for the podcast. We're episode one. Episode one
started with the Activision
started with
deal.
it, and now here we are on episode 44, ending with it. So yeah, that's gonna pretty much do it for us here today. This has been episode 44 of the Game Room Podcast. Thank you to everyone watching and listening and hanging out with us in the chat. Make sure you like us on Twitter or follow us on Twitter. Like the video, subscribe, become a member, do a bunch of cool stuff here. Talk about video games and pro wrestling. It's a great time to playing video games. Great time to be watching pro wrestling. So make sure you're here for it because we have both those bases completely covered here on the channel. But until next time, catch you guys up.
See ya. Go Phillies.
Go Phils.